Sorry, I need to change that function.
All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Mr. Smith, and I am the marketing instructor here at Elite Academic Academy. And tonight, I want to talk to you about the Be Elite podcast, which is a brand new thing for Elite Academic Academy. So thank you so much for joining us. We are super excited about this and about what it means for our students. So let's go ahead and jump into it. And let's first see who the podcast staff is. So as I said, my name is Mr. Smith. I am the CTE marketing teacher here at Elite. I will be the podcast advisor, so I will be helping in creating the actual podcast and conducting the interviews, helping the students get comfortable with that. Everything that's podcast related, generating questions, I will be right there helping the students. And then when it comes to promoting the podcast, because it's not just creating it, we're promoting it as well. When it comes to promoting it, Ms. Kylie Allen will be doing that. She is our community and marketing coordinator here at Elite Academic Academy. Kylie.
Hi, so my name is Kylie Allen, like you said, and so what I'm in charge of here at Elite is all of our kind of forward-facing information. So our Facebook page, Instagram, Twitter, our website, and all of the events on Parent Square, everything goes, I put up everything. So I will be working with Mr. Smith and Olive to help promote the podcast.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. All right, so that is the staff. So let's talk about podcast. So do you watch or listen to podcasts? And if so, let us know, what podcast do you listen to or watch right now? And how do you listen or watch them? Do you go on YouTube? Do you listen to just audio? Leave it in the comment and let us know. And I'll give a few minutes to see if anybody watches or listens to any podcast. And while you're doing that, true crime. There we go. True crime is great and extremely popular when it comes to podcasts. So what's a podcast? That's a really good question, right? And if I were to give you like the little tiny version of the definition, I would say it's a short broadcast that can be audio, visual, or both. And that's pretty much what a podcast is. But I don't want to just like talk to you about a podcast. I want to show you what a podcast is. So let's look at some examples of podcasts.
At least willing to come back in some capacity. So, and the fact that it's not so sacred, I'm actually okay with this, and we'll talk more about this later, but Marvel is this tight-knit thing, and right now DC is just sort of like, whatever, who cares?
That's an example of a YouTube podcast utilizing Zoom, which is going to be very similar to what we do. You see the screens, the boxes right there, very similar. They're talking about who is the best Batman of all time, because of course The Batman is coming out next year with Robert Pattinson from, that vampire movie, but he was also in Tenet, which was really good. So that's one example of that's a video podcast. Let's go ahead and look at some audio ones.
Why I wanted to sit down with Kevin. The true motivation behind it was to explore this episode that occurred in his life in February of 2018 when he suffered and survived a massive heart attack. Kevin had a 100% blockage of his anterior descending artery, most commonly known as the widowmaker. And this is the type of heart attack that most people do not survive to see another day.
And that is an audio podcast example from Spotify, talking about director and writer Kevin Smith and his very scary ordeal that he had. And spoiler alert, he is okay. Kevin Smith is just fine. So, that's just an example of that. I have one more example of a audio podcast.
On today's episode, sharks. With summer winding down in the Northern Hemisphere and kicking in down south, sharks have been in the news.
And that is a audio podcast example from Google Podcast, which we will be on as well. So I just wanted to give you a taste of what podcasts can be. They can be about anything and everything. So why shouldn't it be about us talking about Elite Academic Academy and the amazing things our students are doing, our awesome staff and our amazing community partners, because there's so much to talk about them. So this will be fun, trust me. All right, let's go ahead and talk about why a podcast. So you see big bolded words about why a podcast. Let's start with learn. That's the main thing. We want our students to learn how to create and produce a podcast, audio and visual, utilizing Zoom, which is the industry standard now for long distance meetings and podcasting. So our students will work in creating podcasts. They'll create the interview questions. They will conduct the interviews with, like I said, teachers or students or community partners, but they will also promote the podcast on social media with Ms. Allen's guidance. So learn is so important. Social is also very important. It's about creating that cohort of students that can work together and create something amazing, something that they can watch or listen to and say, I helped with that. I did that. And that's what we want. We want you to see what you can do. You all have unlimited potential. So this is just us trying to tap into a little bit of that. People and community. So we want to learn about our students' parents and their amazing careers, our teachers and our staff members, and like I said, the community partners, what everybody does, everybody's role within Elite. And we're going to shine that positive light down. So the podcast will be a great way for us to show the community what we're all about and what our students are doing. And in the past few days, I have seen such amazing news from what our students here at Elite are doing. Like, I'm extremely, extremely excited to be able to talk to them about it. Who can join? Anybody can join. It's a club, so it's open to all students. What do you need? You need a webcam, a microphone, and somewhere quiet to record. Once we solidify our podcast team, we will be sending out microphones to the students. But for right now, you'll be utilizing the tools that you have, and it'll work out great. So we have that. Next up, as I said, what will you learn here doing the Be Elite podcast? So hands-on interview techniques. I have been a reporter for almost a decade now, and I look forward to helping students in interviewing people visually and also on audio, but just getting used to it, getting used to the techniques, and it's extremely fun. So I hope students really grasp to it, because I love interviewing people. It's fantastic. Producing the video and audio podcast utilizing Zoom, learning how to post and promote with our industry expert, Ms. Allen, and creating awareness and learning about the school culture here at Elite. So as I mentioned, who will be interviewed? Students, parents, teachers, staff members, community partners, and more. But what topics would you like us to talk about? Please drop it in the comments and let us know. I do have some ideas though. As a staff, a lot of us came up with some ideas, and it's on a future slide actually. So we will get into that momentarily, or we'll get into it right now. So here we go, topics for episodes. So you see the mountain there with the sun rays coming off of it. We will be talking to Mr. Olson, who runs our Adventure Academy here at Elite. And I don't know if you've seen the different videos and the things that man does and the awesomeness that he brings to Elite, but it's fantastic. Yeah, it's a lot of nature driven. I know he has videos on how to change a bike tire, and he just has all these cool things. He gets to do all these awesome things. So we're going to chat with Mr. Olson about the Adventure Academy and what all he brings to Elite. You see the very top there, you have a teacher teaching 3 little students. We are going to talk to a homeschool educator about a day in the life of a homeschool educator, because I'm sure many of us are not aware of how much goes into even just one single day. We are going to talk to alumni about their experiences here, but also what are they doing now? And I mean, to me, that's one of the most fun parts of it. Like, what do you do after you leave high school? So we will be talking to alumni. We will be talking about what's your favorite book. It could be Harry Potter. It could not be. But we will talk about favorite books. We will talk about the advantages and any disadvantages there might be to long distance learning and social distance learning. And the one in the corner, we're going to talk about technology. And we'll have someone from our IT department talk about how to properly care for your technology, how to take care of it, and how to best use it. So these are just a handful of the topics. I can tell you the athletics department is another one we definitely want to talk to, because we have so many extremely talented students that are doing amazing things in that field as well. And these are the roles that we'll be doing for the podcast. So we will have students dedicated to interviewing guests, so conducting those interviews. We have students that will be editing the video. So these will be pre-recorded. So students will need to edit the video and the audio before it goes out to social media and the internet and all that fun stuff. Graphic design, because we will need graphics and that little album cover thing that you see like on Spotify or Apple Podcast. We'll need artwork for that. So we'll definitely need students to help create that. And then promotions, how to promote the podcast on the variety of social media platforms that Elite's already on. All right, and this is where the podcast will be available. So for the video version, it'll be on YouTube, because YouTube is like the standard when it comes to videos. And for the audio part, it'll be on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, but that's just the beginning. So if there are other platforms that you watch or listen to your podcast on, please leave it in the comments. Let us know, because we definitely want to have the podcast available where you're already listening to or watching it at. All right, and if you are interested, I'm going to copy this link right now and put it in the chat. Go ahead and fill this out, and I'll show you what that looks like with my kind of slow internet, but it gets there. There we go. So it brings up this interest form. You're just going to put student name, student email, parent name, parent email, grade, phone number, preferred method to communicate with you, your elite educator, what you're interested in, and any comments, and then just click submit. We will begin meeting in October, and we will begin brainstorming and scheduling and planning episodes for production. And that is all I have. Does anybody have any questions about the podcast that I can answer? If you do, go ahead and put it in the chat.
So I have a quick question. How often are we going to be recording this podcast?
Good question. I originally thought that this could be a monthly thing, but if we have the interest, I would like to do this twice a month.
Awesome. I think we have a lot of really great options for people to interview. So yeah, hopefully we can do this twice a month.
I think it would be fantastic. As long as we have a dedicated group of students, I am absolutely for doing twice a month. And you're right, we have so many people to talk to and to really just learn about. So that will be exciting. Any questions? Any other questions? Let's see, as for promotion, who are we trying to get to listen? Students and parents? Well, that's part of it, Margaret, absolutely. So we want students and parents to learn about this, but we also want the community as a whole to see what Elite Academic Academy is doing. For a podcast that is going to be completely created by students, about teachers and students, promoted out there by students, we want the general community to know as well. So I do think that students and parents is one of the target markets, but I think also just think of your local community, and we definitely want to target that. We want people to see that this is Elite, this is who we are, and this is what we do. And our students are amazing, and we want everybody to see that. Good question. Anybody else? And if you think of a question later on, please feel free to email me. My email is nsmith@eliteacademic.com. And if you have any ideas, questions, concerns, anything, please feel free to email me, and I would be happy to chat with you. All right.
Thank you so much, Mr. Smith. This is awesome. I can't wait to see the Elite podcast.
Oh, I can't wait to get this going. No problem. And thank you to everybody who joined us today. I look forward to working with you. And yeah, let's make a podcast. Let's have fun.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Smith. I'm really excited to work with you and your students. I think that this is going to be really exciting, and especially as we get these first couple of podcasts, promoted and put together and out there, that the attention that we're going to get, or everyone's going to see how awesome this is, and that is going to be a lot of promotion in itself, and we'll talk about that. But again, thank you so much, Mr. Smith.
Oh, no problem. Thank you. And thank you all, and have a good night.